Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I'm thrilled to chat with actor Jordane Christie. This year, Jordane can be seen starring in Season 2 of the critically acclaimed Paramount Plus anthology series, Why Women Kill. Jordane shines as Vern, a World War II veteran and private detective. And in this interview, we discuss his love of the arts, working on Netflix Haunting of Hill House, and filming the short film We Can't Breathe during COVID restrictions. It's a really fun interview, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for making time today. I really appreciate it.
No problem. No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
So, in doing my research, I was excited to talk to you. I'm always interested to hear how people get into an arts career or make that decision to really go for something that, you know, may not be normalized for a lot of people. And I know you got into acting in high school. Can you talk a little bit about getting that first role, getting bit by the bug on stage, and then really deciding to push for it, you know, educationally and professionally?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so I mean, it's funny because I grew up in a family, a family. I was raised by Jamaican immigrants. Both my parents were born in Jamaica, but then migrated as teenager, really. So they definitely still had a lot of those morals and really just the idea of like, you're crazy if you're planning to actually pursue an artistic career. But you know, but it's funny, it's nuanced because they also were great appreciators of the arts. Like they appreciated the arts and they exposed us to different arts. But at the same time, the idea of actually entertaining an idea of a career in it was kind of bizarre. But also kind of just within that taste of seeing some theater and seeing some dance. I grew up in Atlanta, so seeing some stuff at the Alliance Theater or Theatrical Outfit in Atlanta made me want to get out there and try it myself. I grew up playing sports. Really, I spent a lot of my childhood dabbling in baseball, soccer, basketball is what I stuck with the longest. And I ran some track in high school too. And I actually got hurt. I got hurt in high school in track. I pulled a major muscle, and I was during that downtime. It's the time where I really was like, oh, well, I got to figure something. Maybe I should figure something else out. And that was within that downtime was where I guess I got the courage and the extra time on my hands to try out theater. And actually, the first thing that I remember doing on stage that really moved me and gave me the bug was actually it was for Black History Month. They did a program where it was basically like a vignette of different of figures from Black history, and I had a friend who did like a Langston Hughes piece, and I volunteered to do a representation of Malcolm X, and it was devised pretty much like two of his speeches and made it into one, like essentially kind of like a 1.5 minute monologue. Mm-hmm. But throughout that, as close as a 17-year-old could do for any kind of interpretation of Malcolm X, I did that, and it made me feel like, oh wow, this actually has, you know, this art form has some power to it, has some reach to it, and I had folks who I mean, not only applauded me, but like people who felt moved and like felt like they learned something or felt something from that, and it made me feel like this is not just fun, but this art form is powerful as well. So that was the first thing I had done on stage, and then after that, just kind of just the wormholes on Google to figure out information, and just started submitting myself for different things, and I got my first agent out there, and just continued to just find experience wherever I could find it, pretty much.
Haunting of Hill House was one of my favorite things to come out a few years ago, and Mike Flanagan has been one of my favorite recent directors. Can you talk a little bit about, landing that role and kind of, did that feel like that maybe just the thing I know you most from at that moment did that feel like a change for you in your career? Did that feel like like you were on a streak or things were starting to happen?
Oh, well, yeah. Haunting Hill House was a fantastic experience, and I appreciate you asking. So, as these things go, you never really realize how big of a hit something might be when you're just making it, or just kind of in the inception of things. It came across my desk like most auditions may, just kind of through my team, through my agents and managers, and that came. I live in Los Angeles now, and I've been here for about 4 years, and that actually, I ended up that opportunity came the first year that I was in LA, so I booked that within. It was like my first 4 months in LA. Sorry to derail, but I also lived in New York and I studied in New York for about 6 years. So then I moved to LA. So yeah, and I got that audition, and it was, they didn't give us the full script initially. It was just like the sides where that scene that I played a sleep technician, and it was pretty much that scene where you're seeing the build of our romance, where I'm describing her sleep paralysis, and the end of it pretty much turns into me asking her on a date of sorts, and that was the audition scene, and it was actually a self-tape. Oh, no, I'm lying. That was not a self-tape. That was actually in person. I did that audition in person, and it was just a one-time audition. And I don't know, maybe 2-3 weeks later, I learned that I got the role on it. But yeah, so they were pretty secretive as far as the full script. But once I got it, I was thrilled to read the pilot, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then went back and read the novel. Haunting of Hill House is actually a novel, for those who don't know. Yeah, written by Shirley Jackson, that came out in like the 30s. So it was, yeah, it was great. It was great. And Mike Flanagan was awesome. The novel is different from what we did, just in terms of like the relationships. A lot of the character names and the general plot was similar, but they took a lot of the just kind of like the characters' relationships to one another were entirely different. Like, he made it a family drama, which I thought made it so much more interesting at its heart. Yeah,
I agree. I think that's one of the things I really like about Flanagan's horror movies is that understanding of family dynamic and character. And I've heard that before. I mean, you both about auditions and then the projects themselves, that you just never know what you're doing. You gotta go at it like it's the greatest thing, because you can't always tell the ground level. And you can't always think about your auditions, because you do them and then maybe you never hear back, maybe you do.
Exactly.
Talk a little bit about getting involved with Why Women Kill. You're getting great reviews for playing this Philip Marlowe, Sam Spade archetype. I think it was AV Club's words. Allison Tolman's fantastic. The show just looks wonderful. Can you talk a little bit about getting involved with it and how that audition went?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that came across my desk in a very dry time, and a dry time for everybody, because that was cast and completed throughout the pandemic. So the industry had pretty much shut off, as many industries did, in the beginning of the pandemic, and and I auditioned for it it was like quiet, and then I got an audition for this as well as like maybe one or two other projects, and in like late August, early September, and the first thing that was a self tape, but then not only that it had two other rounds of callbacks, which were all from my living room, all on Zoom. So that was a kind of like the first thing that was really new age adaptation for the pandemic. So it's so pretty much, getting getting the part is then, also just like further research and in terms of the time period. So then we learned, that this is set in 1949. So then I did just research in terms of some of those, some of the cultural things, cultural rules, if you will, or of this society and the economic things that might affect what's going on in this world. But it's funny because then actually getting there and then having those creative conversations on the day, you realize, oh, we're not really following these rules at all.
Yeah, you're doing your own thing at the end of the day.
It's art.
Yeah,
we're doing our own thing at the end of the day, and and I love that. I mean, it's art, and it's and what I'm mainly talking about. One of the first things that were a little bit took me back a little bit is like, a black man navigating this space in the 40s is going to be a different experience, and even from like one of my first scenes when I'm stepping into a diner, like a lot of times traditionally, even what the experience that we know from books, from experience or from other television and film, the first thing I'm thinking is like, okay, are people reacting to me? Should I be here? Like, is anybody? So, but it's cool. But it's. I love that is not at all an issue in this world that we've created here, and I think there's a lot of power to that. So that's one thing. But then also going back and just understanding entirely the thing we're making. It's a dark comedy, and completely familiarizing myself with Mark Cherry's prior work in Desperate Housewives, and it's because it's a very unique voice, and it stays true to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very particular tone and dark comedy, you got to kind of learn where the guardrails are in the world that they're creating. Kind of like you wouldn't want to be on set at Hill House and go, hey, "This is not how Chapter 4 ended, sir." Stick to the book here.
Yeah.
You're gonna do your own thing,
right? Exactly.
Now, you also did a short film that's getting you some award nominations that y'all shot during the pandemic as well. I've been curious recently getting to talk to folks about how they got projects done during the pandemic and just the adjustments that are made and just kind of having to roll with it. But to make the short We Can't Breathe, I would imagine there was also an emotional tension on set on top of the, God, we're doing this during a pandemic. Can you talk a little bit about making that and then watching it hit the festivals?
Yeah. So, as we can kind of gather as well, it's like I definitely have kind of even in the way that I got bugged, I definitely have an interest in how art can also just create room for conversation and create change and just make us question the things in our society. How art can also be activism as well. So I definitely love being able to navigate between that space and then doing things just for entertainment, just for fun. And that We Can't Breathe was a short film written and directed by a young director named Clarence Williams. That was really just something that came. We had a mutual friend. We really connected on through a mutual friend or through social media, and he offered me this part, and it was again in a time that was really a perfect time really, but just a dry time, and but also politically, right after the George Floyd situation, and a time that we were all frustrated and needing, and it was just a wonderful outlet of expression, and we did that. It was something we did in one day. It was just a 1-day shoot. It's like a 10-minute short film that was between two people, myself and an actress who played a girlfriend who is the daughter of a white police officer, and she's biracial. So it was kind of just like, it was a lot about the central conversation about we weren't seeing. She was more so empathizing with the police officers and kind of the choices that they're making, and I was kind of the voice of a black man in fear of his life, so and who could relate to the victims in these situations, and so it was made from a real place, and then just to see people really identifying to it and festivals picking it up is a powerful thing. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for talking to me about it all today. People can catch season 2 of Why Women Kill, which started up just recently. June 3rd, and so yeah, folks can go check that out now. And then, like I say, I can't thank you enough. Wonderfully good to chat with you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your time. I appreciate you.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.